My husband humiliated me at airport security, abandoning me with our crying toddler when I couldn't find my boarding pass fast enough for his taste. What he didn't know was that I wasn't flying commercial that day, and when my private jet crew arrived to escort me to the VIP terminal, his smug expression turned to pure shock as he realized he had just walked away from the woman who secretly owned the airline he was trying to impress his mistress with. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The alarm pierced through the pre-dawn silence at 4:30 a.m., though I had been awake for the past hour, mentally rehearsing every detail of the day ahead. Our flight to Denver was scheduled for 8:15 a.m., which meant we needed to leave the house by 6 a.m. to account for traffic, parking, security lines, and the inevitable delays that came with traveling with a 2-year-old. My name is Victoria Sterling, though most people in my daily life knew me simply as Vicky, the devoted wife of Thomas Sterling and mother to our daughter Emma. For the past 3 years since Emma's birth, I had embraced the role of full-time mother and supportive spouse, organizing our household, managing our social calendar, and ensuring that Thomas could focus entirely on his demanding career in commercial real estate development. Thomas had built his reputation as one of the most successful property developers in Chicago, specializing in luxury residential towers and commercial complexes that transformed entire neighborhoods. His projects consistently generated substantial profits for his investors, and his personal charisma made him a sought-after partner for high-profile developments across the Midwest. What Thomas did not know, what nobody in our social circle understood, was that I was not merely the supportive wife of a successful developer. Before Emma's birth, I had been Victoria Chen, the founder and majority shareholder of Meridian Aviation Holdings, a private aviation company that had grown from a single aircraft operation into a fleet of 12 jets, serving executives and wealthy individuals across North America. I had built Meridian from the ground up, using a combination of inherited capital from my grandmother's shipping fortune, strategic partnerships with aircraft manufacturers, and an intuitive understanding of the luxury service market that emerged during the economic expansion of the early 2000s. By the time I met Thomas, Meridian was generating annual revenues exceeding $50 million and had established itself as the preferred aviation service for Fortune 500 executives who valued discretion and exceptional service. The decision to step back from active management of Meridian had been mine alone. I wanted to experience motherhood fully, to be present for Emma's early years in ways that demanding executive responsibilities would not have permitted. I maintained my ownership stake and continued to receive detailed quarterly reports from the management team I had carefully selected and trained, but I deliberately avoided discussing business matters in social settings where Thomas's colleagues and clients might be present. This arrangement served multiple purposes. It allowed Thomas to develop his own professional identity without being overshadowed by my business achievements. It protected Meridian's client confidentiality by keeping my personal life separate from the company's operations. Most importantly, it gave me the opportunity to observe people's authentic reactions to me as simply a wife and mother, rather than as a successful entrepreneur who might intimidate or influence their behavior. Thomas had never shown particular curiosity about my financial background, or the source of the family trust that had allowed us to purchase our Lincoln Park mansion without requiring a mortgage. He seemed content to assume that my family's wealth was inherited rather than earned, and I had never felt compelled to correct his assumptions. Our prenuptial agreement, negotiated by discreet attorneys who specialized in protecting high-net-worth individuals, ensured that Meridian remained entirely separate from our marital assets. The morning of our planned trip to Denver represented what should have been a joyful family milestone. Thomas had been invited to speak at a prestigious real estate development conference, and we had decided to extend the trip into a long weekend family vacation. Emma would experience her first airplane ride, and I looked forward to showing her the mountains and visiting the children's museum that had been recommended by other parents in our neighborhood. I had spent the previous week organizing every detail of our travel arrangements. Emma's diaper bag contained enough supplies for unexpected delays, complete changes of clothing for both Emma and myself, her favorite toys and books, and carefully portioned snacks that would keep her content during the flight. I had confirmed our hotel reservations, researched family-friendly restaurants near our accommodations, and created detailed itineraries that would allow Thomas to fulfill his professional obligations while ensuring Emma's schedule remained as consistent as possible. The night before our departure, I had laid out our travel clothing, charged all electronic devices, and organized our carry-on luggage with the precision of someone who understood the importance of preparation. Emma's car seat had been properly installed for the early morning departure, and I had confirmed with our neighborhood car service that they would arrive promptly at 6 a.m. Thomas emerged from the shower at 5:15 a.m., already dressed in the expensive suit he planned to wear for his conference presentation. He moved through our morning routine with the focused efficiency that characterized his approach to all professional matters, checking his phone constantly for messages from colleagues, and adjusting his tie with the careful attention he devoted to his public appearance. Emma woke at 5:45 a.m. in excellent spirits, chattering happily about the airplane adventure she had been anticipating for weeks. I dressed her in the comfortable travel outfit we had selected together, complete with her favorite pink sneakers that lit up when she walked. Her excitement was infectious, and even Thomas smiled genuinely as she practiced making airplane sounds and demonstrated how she would look out the window during our flight. The car service arrived precisely on time, and our driver helped load our luggage while I secured Emma in her car seat and ensured she had her travel activity bag within easy reach. The early morning traffic was lighter than usual, and we arrived at O'Hare International Airport with more time than I had anticipated, which I considered a positive development given the unpredictability of traveling with a toddler. Thomas had been unusually quiet during the drive, occasionally responding to text messages but not engaging in the animated conversation Emma and I were having about the adventures awaiting us in Denver. I attributed his subdued mood to pre-presentation nerves, as he often became focused and somewhat withdrawn before important professional events. The airport terminal was already busy despite the early hour, filled with business travelers, families beginning vacation trips, and the constant activity that characterized major transportation hubs. Emma was fascinated by the bustling environment, pointing excitedly at the departure boards and asking questions about the various aircraft visible through the terminal windows. We approached the check-in counter for Thomas's preferred airline, a major carrier that he frequently used for business travel. The representative was professional and efficient, confirming our reservations and providing boarding passes for our seats in the business class section that Thomas always insisted upon for flights longer than 2 hours. Everything proceeded smoothly until we reached the security checkpoint. The Transportation Security Administration lines were longer than usual, with multiple families and business travelers creating bottlenecks at the document verification stations. Emma remained patient and well-behaved, though I could sense she was beginning to feel overwhelmed by the crowds and unfamiliar procedures. As we approached the document verification station, I realized that my boarding pass was not in the easily accessible pocket of my purse where I had planned to place it. The pass was somewhere in my carry-on bag, buried beneath Emma's supplies and the various items I had organized for our travel day. Thomas stood behind me, checking his watch repeatedly and making impatient sounds as I searched through my carefully packed bag. Emma began to sense the tension and started fussing, requiring attention that further slowed my search for the missing boarding pass. "Victoria, we need to move," Thomas said sharply, his professional composure beginning to crack under the pressure of the security line building behind us. "People are waiting." "I have it right here," I replied, continuing to search through the organized compartments of my bag. "Just give me one more moment." The boarding pass was located in a side pocket, where I had apparently placed it while juggling Emma's needs during our check-in process. The entire search had taken perhaps 90 seconds, a minor delay that occurred regularly in airport security lines around the world. Thomas, however, had reached his limit of patience. As I presented my boarding pass to the TSA agent, Thomas leaned close to my ear and spoke in a tone I had never heard from him before. "I can't do this anymore, Victoria. I can't deal with your disorganization and your inability to handle simple tasks without creating drama." Before I could respond or ask what he meant, Thomas had collected his carry-on bag and walked through the security checkpoint, leaving Emma and me standing in the verification line with dozens of travelers waiting behind us. The TSA agent looked at me with a mixture of professional sympathy and impatience, clearly wanting to process my documents and keep the line moving. I fumbled through the security procedures while holding Emma, who had begun to cry in response to the sudden disappearance of her father and the stress she sensed in my behavior. After clearing security, I found myself in the departure terminal with a crying toddler, surrounded by travelers hurrying to their gates, with no clear understanding of what had just occurred or how I should respond. Thomas was nowhere to be seen, and his phone went directly to voicemail when I attempted to call him. Emma's distress escalated as she continued asking for her daddy, and I struggled to explain a situation I did not fully understand myself. Other travelers began staring at us, and I felt the familiar sensation of being judged by strangers who assumed they understood our circumstances based on a brief observation. 20 minutes passed before I spotted Thomas near our departure gate, standing close to a woman I recognized from his office social events. Jessica Morrison worked in the marketing department of Thomas's development firm, and I had spoken with her briefly at company holiday parties and summer picnics. She was attractive, professionally dressed, and appeared to be traveling with her own carry-on luggage. The sight of Thomas engaged in intimate conversation with Jessica, occasionally touching her arm and laughing at her comments, provided immediate clarity about the morning's events. Thomas had not abandoned me due to impatience with my boarding pass search. He had used my minor delay as an excuse to separate himself from his family so he could travel with Jessica without the complication of explaining their relationship to a wife and daughter. Emma had fallen asleep in my arms, exhausted by the emotional stress of the morning's confusion. As I sat in an uncomfortable terminal chair, holding my sleeping daughter and processing the reality of my husband's betrayal, I made a decision that would change everything. I removed my phone from my purse and dialed a number I had not called in over 2 years. Meridian Aviation, this is Marcus. Marcus, this is Victoria Chen. I need immediate assistance at O'Hare Terminal 2. The relief in Marcus Rodriguez's voice was unmistakable. Marcus had been my operations director at Meridian since the company's early years, and he had respected my decision to step back from daily management, while always making it clear that my return would be welcomed enthusiastically. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Ms. Chen, it's wonderful to hear from you. What can we do? I need transport to Denver for myself and my daughter. We're currently in the commercial terminal, but I'd prefer to use our VIP services. Of course. Meridian 7 is actually scheduled for a Denver departure this afternoon, but I can have the crew prepare for immediate departure. Should I arrange ground transport to the private terminal? Yes, please. And Marcus, I think it's time for me to resume a more active role in company operations. That's the best news I've heard in months, Ms. Chen. I'll have our ground crew at your location within 15 minutes. As I ended the call, Emma stirred in my arms and opened her eyes, looking around the busy terminal with confusion. Thomas and Jessica were still visible near the departure gate, apparently unaware that I was observing them from across the concourse. "Mommy, where's Daddy?" Emma asked sleepily. "Daddy had to take a different airplane, sweetheart. But we're going to have a very special adventure on our own airplane." Emma's eyes brightened at the mention of our own airplane, though she was still too young to fully understand what that meant. Within minutes, I saw 2 uniformed Meridian Aviation crew members walking purposefully through the terminal, scanning the area for their passengers. I stood up, gathered our belongings, and prepared to reclaim the identity I had set aside for 3 years. Thomas Sterling was about to discover that the disorganized wife he had abandoned at airport security was actually the owner of the aviation company, whose services his colleagues envied, and whose discretion protected the privacy of some of the most powerful people in American business. The woman he had left behind was about to fly away on her own wings, and she would never again allow anyone to underestimate her worth or treat her as dispensable. The 15 minutes between my call to Marcus Rodriguez and the arrival of the Meridian Aviation crew felt simultaneously eternal and instantaneous. Emma had awakened fully and was asking increasingly specific questions about where her father had gone and why we were not boarding the airplane she had been anticipating for weeks. I found myself crafting explanations that were truthful without being devastating to a 2-year-old's understanding of family stability. During those crucial minutes, I observed Thomas and Jessica from across the terminal concourse with new eyes. Their body language told a story of familiarity and intimacy that extended far beyond professional collaboration. Jessica leaned into Thomas's personal space when she spoke, her hand resting naturally on his forearm in a gesture that suggested established physical comfort. Thomas responded with the relaxed charm I had seen him deploy during business negotiations, but there was an additional warmth in his expressions that I recognized as romantic interest. The realization that Thomas's abandonment was not an impulsive reaction to travel stress, but rather a calculated decision to begin a vacation with his mistress, brought unexpected clarity to my emotional state. The initial shock and confusion transformed into analytical assessment of the situation and strategic consideration of my response options. This shift from emotional reaction to tactical thinking felt familiar, reminding me of the decision-making processes I had employed during the most challenging periods of building Meridian Aviation. Emma pointed toward the large windows overlooking the tarmac and asked about the various aircraft visible in the distance. Her innocent curiosity about aviation reminded me of my own childhood fascination with flight, which had ultimately inspired my decision to enter the private aviation industry. I had spent countless hours as a young girl watching planes take off and land at San Francisco International Airport, dreaming about the destinations they represented and the freedom they embodied. Those childhood dreams had evolved into a comprehensive understanding of the aviation business, from aircraft acquisition and maintenance to crew training and customer service excellence. Meridian Aviation had succeeded not merely because I had access to startup capital, but because I had devoted years to understanding every aspect of the industry before launching the company. I had earned my private pilot's license, completed courses in aircraft maintenance, studied federal aviation regulations, and worked directly with experienced pilots and mechanics to develop expertise that commanded respect from industry professionals. The decision to step away from active management of Meridian had required significant personal sacrifice. I had built the company during my 20s and early 30s, working 18-hour days and traveling constantly to develop client relationships and oversee expansion into new markets. The transition from hands-on entrepreneur to supportive spouse had been more difficult than I had anticipated, though I had convinced myself that the sacrifice was temporary and necessary for Emma's early development. Thomas had never expressed genuine interest in understanding the details of how Meridian operated, or the specific challenges involved in managing a private aviation company. His questions about my business background had been perfunctory, focused more on the financial benefits that accrued to our household than on the professional achievements that had made those benefits possible. I had interpreted his lack of curiosity as respect for my decision to prioritize family responsibilities over business concerns. The sight of two uniformed Meridian crew members entering the terminal through the main entrance immediately captured my attention and provided welcome relief from my increasingly uncomfortable observations of Thomas and Jessica. Captain Sarah Mitchell and First Officer David Park moved through the crowded concourse with the confident professionalism that characterized all Meridian personnel, their uniforms impeccably maintained and their demeanor appropriately serious for their responsibilities. Captain Mitchell had been with Meridian for over 5 years, having joined the company after completing a distinguished career with a major commercial airline. Her expertise in aircraft operations and customer service had made her one of our most requested pilots among clients who valued both safety and discretion. First Officer Park was newer to the Meridian team but had demonstrated exceptional technical skills and judgment during his initial training and probationary period. Both crew members scanned the terminal systematically until Captain Mitchell made eye contact with me across the concourse. Her professional expression immediately brightened with recognition, and she began walking directly toward our location while First Officer Park followed slightly behind, both maintaining the dignified bearing that Meridian clients expected from their flight crews. Emma noticed the approaching uniforms and asked whether these were the pilots who would be flying our special airplane. I confirmed that they were indeed our pilots and explained that we would be taking a different type of airplane than the one Daddy was using for his trip. Emma's excitement about this development was genuine and infectious, temporarily displacing her concerns about Thomas's absence. Captain Mitchell reached our location and addressed me with the respectful formality that had always characterized interactions between Meridian crew and company ownership, though her tone also conveyed personal warmth that reflected our years of professional collaboration. "Ms. Chen, it is genuinely wonderful to see you again. Marcus briefed us on your travel requirements and Meridian 7 is prepared for immediate departure to Denver. We have filed our flight plan and completed all pre-flight preparations." First Officer Park added his own greeting and confirmed that ground transportation was standing by to escort us to the private aviation terminal, where final boarding procedures could be completed in comfortable and private surroundings. The professionalism and efficiency of their presentation reminded me of the standards I had established during Meridian's early years, and the pride I had taken in developing an operation that consistently exceeded client expectations. Emma was fascinated by the pilot uniforms and asked Captain Mitchell numerous questions about flying airplanes and whether she could see the cockpit during our flight. Captain Mitchell responded to Emma's curiosity with patience and enthusiasm, explaining some basic concepts about aviation in terms that a 2-year-old could understand, while maintaining the professional demeanor that characterized all her interactions. As we prepared to leave the commercial terminal, I glanced once more toward the departure gate, where Thomas and Jessica remained engaged in their intimate conversation. Thomas appeared completely absorbed in Jessica's company and showed no signs of concern about my absence or Emma's welfare. His indifference to our well-being provided final confirmation that his morning abandonment represented a definitive choice, rather than a temporary lapse in judgment. The walk through the terminal toward the ground transportation area allowed me to process the magnitude of the transition I was undertaking. For 3 years, I had deliberately minimized my connection to Meridian Aviation in social and family settings, presenting myself as simply Thomas's wife and Emma's mother. The decision to contact Marcus and request immediate aviation services represented not merely a travel accommodation but a fundamental shift in how I would present myself to the world. Emma held my hand as we walked, occasionally skipping with excitement about the adventure ahead, while asking questions about the special airplane and whether it would have windows she could look through during the flight. Her innocent enthusiasm provided perspective on the situation and reminded me that this transition represented an opportunity for positive change rather than merely a response to Thomas's betrayal. The ground transportation vehicle was a luxury sedan with Meridian Aviation branding, staffed by a professional driver who assisted with our luggage and ensured Emma was properly secured in an appropriate car seat that had been installed in anticipation of our arrival. The attention to detail and preparation demonstrated by the Meridian team reflected the operational standards I had established and maintained throughout the company's development. During the brief drive to the private aviation terminal, Captain Mitchell provided a general overview of our flight plan and estimated travel time, while First Officer Park confirmed weather conditions and expected arrival procedures in Denver. Their professional briefing reminded me of the comprehensive service approach that had distinguished Meridian from competitors and built our reputation among demanding clients who expected excellence in every aspect of their travel experience. The private aviation terminal represented a completely different environment from the commercial facility we had just departed. The building was designed to provide luxury and privacy for travelers who valued discretion and personalized service, with comfortable seating areas, private conference rooms, and direct access to aircraft parking areas that eliminated the crowds and delays associated with commercial aviation. Emma was immediately impressed by the elegant surroundings and the personal attention provided by terminal staff, who greeted us by name and offered refreshments, while final flight preparations were completed. The contrast between the stressful commercial terminal experience and the calm efficiency of private aviation services provided a tangible reminder of the lifestyle and professional identity I had set aside during my years as a full-time mother and wife. Marcus Rodriguez appeared in the terminal lobby within minutes of our arrival, his presence representing both professional necessity and personal support during what he clearly understood was a significant transition for me. Marcus had been instrumental in maintaining Meridian's operations during my absence, and his obvious relief at my return confirmed that my decision to resume active involvement in the company would be welcomed by the entire management team. Marcus briefed me on current company operations, including recent client acquisitions, fleet maintenance status, and financial performance indicators that demonstrated Meridian's continued growth and profitability during my years of reduced involvement. The company had not merely survived my absence, but had expanded into new markets and enhanced service offerings in ways that exceeded my expectations and validated the management team's capabilities. Emma explored the private terminal's family area, while Marcus and I discussed immediate operational considerations related to my return to active company management. These conversations felt natural and energizing, reminding me of the intellectual stimulation and professional satisfaction I had experienced during Meridian's early years. The complexity and responsibility of managing a growing aviation company had provided challenges that engaged my analytical and strategic thinking abilities in ways that domestic responsibilities had not replicated. The boarding process for Meridian 7 proceeded with the smooth efficiency that characterized all company operations. Emma was thrilled by the personal attention from flight attendant Maria Santos, who had prepared special activities and snacks appropriate for a young passenger while ensuring that all safety requirements were met. The aircraft interior reflected the luxury standards that Meridian clients expected, with comfortable seating, advanced entertainment systems, and amenities that transformed air travel from transportation necessity into pleasant experience. As we settled into our seats and prepared for departure, Emma pressed her face against the window to observe ground crew activities and other aircraft movements around the private aviation facility. Her excitement and wonder reminded me of my own childhood fascination with aviation and the dreams that had ultimately led to Meridian's creation. The circular nature of this moment, returning to aviation with my daughter experiencing her first flight aboard an aircraft owned by her mother's company, felt symbolic of the new chapter beginning in both our lives. Captain Mitchell's voice over the aircraft intercom system announced our readiness for departure and provided flight information in the professional manner that had made her one of Meridian's most valued crew members. As Meridian 7 began its taxi toward the runway, I reflected on the transformation that had occurred in less than 2 hours. From abandoned wife struggling with airport security to company owner preparing for departure aboard her own aircraft. The takeoff process proceeded smoothly, with Emma maintaining her excitement and curiosity about the flying experience while asking questions about the sensations and procedures she was observing. Her enthusiasm provided positive energy that helped offset the emotional weight of the morning's events and reminded me that this transition represented opportunity and empowerment, rather than merely reaction to Thomas's betrayal. As Chicago disappeared beneath the aircraft and we climbed toward cruising altitude, I began considering the immediate and long-term implications of my decision to resume active leadership of Meridian Aviation. The company had continued to grow and prosper during my absence, but there were strategic opportunities and operational improvements that would benefit from my direct involvement and decision-making authority. More importantly, I recognized that returning to my professional identity would provide Emma with a different model of motherhood than the one I had been presenting during her early years. She would grow up understanding that women could build and lead successful businesses while maintaining strong family relationships, and that personal worth was not dependent on others' recognition or approval. The airplane leveled off at cruising altitude, and Emma settled into the comfortable seating while exploring the entertainment options that Maria had prepared for her enjoyment during the flight. The peaceful environment and professional service provided stark contrast to the chaos and stress we had experienced in the commercial terminal just hours earlier. As I looked out the aircraft window at the landscape passing below, I realized that Thomas's abandonment at airport security had inadvertently provided me with the motivation and opportunity to reclaim the professional identity and personal empowerment I had voluntarily set aside during our marriage. His assumption that I was helpless without his support had been thoroughly disproven by the efficient response of the team I had built and the resources I had created through my own efforts and abilities. The flight to Denver would provide time to plan my return to active business leadership and consider how to restructure my life to balance professional responsibilities with motherhood in ways that honored both commitments. Emma deserved to see her mother as a strong, independent woman who created value and opportunity rather than merely managing household responsibilities and supporting someone else's career ambitions. Thomas Sterling was about to discover that the woman he had abandoned at airport security possessed resources, capabilities, and determination that far exceeded his understanding or expectations. The next chapter of this story would be written on my terms, with my daughter beside me and my company supporting our journey toward whatever future we chose to create together. The gentle hum of Meridian 7's engines provided a soothing backdrop as we reached cruising altitude 37,000 feet above the American heartland. Emma had settled into her window seat with the wonder of a child experiencing her first flight, her small hands pressed against the aircraft window as she watched the patchwork of farmland and cities pass beneath us. The cabin's luxurious appointments, from the cream leather seating to the polished wood accents, represented standards of excellence I had personally selected during the aircraft's customization process 5 years earlier. Flight attendant Maria Santos approached with professional grace, offering Emma a selection of activities specifically curated for young passengers while ensuring that all her comfort needs were addressed. Maria had been with Meridian for 3 years, having joined our team after extensive experience with luxury hospitality services. Her ability to anticipate client needs, and provide seamless service exemplified the culture of excellence I had established throughout the organization. As Emma became absorbed in her coloring books and educational games, I found myself experiencing a profound psychological shift that had been building since my conversation with Marcus Rodriguez. The familiar environment of a Meridian aircraft, surrounded by the team I had carefully recruited and trained, awakened aspects of my professional identity that had remained dormant during my years of domestic focus. The confident decision-making, strategic thinking, and leadership instincts that had built this company began reasserting themselves with increasing clarity and intensity. Marcus had remained aboard for the initial portion of our flight to provide comprehensive briefings on Meridian's current operations and strategic positioning. His presentation revealed that the company had not merely survived my reduced involvement, but had achieved remarkable growth across multiple performance metrics. Annual revenues had increased by 47% over the past 3 years, fleet utilization rates had improved substantially, and customer satisfaction scores consistently exceeded industry benchmarks. The management team had successfully expanded Meridian's service offerings to include international charter flights, specialized cargo transport for high-value shipments, and emergency medical evacuation services that served clients across North America. These strategic initiatives had been implemented using the decision-making frameworks and operational principles I had established during the company's foundational years, demonstrating that the organizational culture I had created possessed sufficient strength and coherence to drive continued innovation and expansion. Marcus's financial reports indicated that Meridian's net profitability had grown even more dramatically than gross revenues, reflecting improved operational efficiency and strategic cost management initiatives that had enhanced the company's competitive positioning. The combination of revenue growth and margin improvement had generated substantial cash reserves that provided multiple options for future expansion and strategic acquisitions. Most significantly, Marcus reported that Meridian had received preliminary inquiries from 3 major competitors regarding potential acquisition discussions. The valuations suggested by these initial conversations indicated that the company I had built was now worth significantly more than I had estimated during my period of reduced involvement. The financial independence these valuations represented would provide Emma and me with security and opportunities that extended far beyond anything Thomas's real estate development career could offer. As I reviewed detailed financial statements and operational reports, I recognized that my decision to maintain arm's-length involvement in Meridian's management had been more costly than I had previously understood. While the company had continued to prosper under Marcus's leadership, there were strategic opportunities and operational improvements that would have benefited from my direct involvement and industry expertise. The 3 years I had devoted to supporting Thomas's career and managing household responsibilities represented not only personal sacrifice but also foregone business growth and professional development. This realization brought unexpected clarity to my assessment of the marriage dissolution that Thomas had initiated through his airport abandonment. His decision to prioritize his relationship with Jessica Morrison over his family responsibilities had inadvertently provided me with the motivation and justification to resume the professional activities that had been my primary source of intellectual fulfillment and personal identity before Emma's birth. Emma looked up from her activities to ask questions about the aircraft's operations and the landscape visible through her window. Her curiosity about aviation reminded me of my own childhood fascination with flight, which had ultimately inspired my decision to enter the private aviation industry. I found myself explaining basic principles of aerodynamics and navigation in terms that a 2-year-old could understand, drawing parallels between the freedom of flight and the possibilities that opened when people pursued their dreams with determination and preparation. These conversations with Emma revealed another dimension of the transformation occurring during our flight. My return to the aviation environment was reawakening not only my professional capabilities, but also my confidence in sharing knowledge and inspiring others to pursue ambitious goals. The mentorship and leadership skills I had developed while building Meridian felt natural and energizing in ways that domestic conversations about household management and social obligations had not replicated. Captain Mitchell's voice over the intercom system provided updates on our flight progress and weather conditions ahead, her professional competence and clear communication reflecting the standards I had established for all Meridian personnel. The pride I felt in hearing her announcements reminded me of the satisfaction I had experienced in building an organization that consistently delivered exceptional service while maintaining the highest safety standards in the industry. Marcus presented strategic recommendations for Meridian's continued expansion, including proposals for fleet modernization, service territory extension, and partnership development with complementary luxury service providers. His analysis demonstrated sophisticated understanding of market dynamics and competitive positioning, validating my confidence in the management team's capabilities, while also revealing opportunities that would benefit from my direct strategic involvement. The most intriguing proposal involved expanding Meridian's international operations through strategic partnerships with European and Asian aviation companies that served similar high-net-worth clienteles. These relationships would enable Meridian to offer seamless global travel services while maintaining the personalized attention and discretion that differentiated our offerings from larger commercial operators. The complexity and potential of these international expansion opportunities excited my entrepreneurial instincts in ways that had been absent during my years of reduced business involvement. Emma had fallen asleep in her comfortable seat, her coloring materials scattered around her while she rested peacefully against the soft leather cushions. Her serene expression and obvious comfort in the luxury environment reminded me that the lifestyle and opportunities Meridian provided were not merely personal benefits, but also investments in my daughter's future security and educational possibilities. As I continued reviewing business reports and strategic plans, I began developing preliminary ideas for reorganizing my life to balance renewed professional engagement with continued commitment to Emma's development and well-being. The financial resources generated by Meridian's success would enable me to arrange flexible schedules and support systems that could accommodate both intensive business travel and dedicated family time. More importantly, I recognized that resuming active leadership of Meridian would provide Emma with a powerful example of female entrepreneurship and professional achievement. Rather than observing her mother in a supportive domestic role, Emma would grow up understanding that women could build successful businesses, lead complex organizations, and create value through their own intelligence and determination. The irony of Thomas's timing in abandoning our family became increasingly apparent as I absorbed the magnitude of Meridian's current success and future potential. His decision to pursue a relationship with Jessica Morrison had occurred at precisely the moment when my company was achieving its greatest financial performance and strategic positioning. The resources and opportunities that Thomas was forfeiting through his infidelity far exceeded anything his real estate development career could provide, even under the most optimistic scenarios. Marcus concluded his operational briefing by requesting guidance on several strategic decisions that had been deferred pending my return to active company management. These included acquisition opportunities that could accelerate Meridian's growth, partnership proposals from international aviation companies, and expansion initiatives that would require significant capital investment and operational coordination. The complexity and potential impact of these decisions reminded me of the intellectual challenges and professional satisfaction that had motivated my original entry into the aviation industry. As our flight continued toward Denver, I found myself mentally transitioning from the reactive mindset that had characterized my response to Thomas's abandonment toward the proactive strategic thinking that had built Meridian into a leading private aviation company. The combination of immediate crisis management and long-term opportunity assessment felt familiar and energizing, awakening decision-making capabilities that had remained underutilized during my years of domestic focus. Emma stirred in her sleep and adjusted her position against the comfortable seating, her unconscious movements reflecting the security and comfort that Meridian's services provided. The realization that I had built this company not only for my own professional fulfillment, but also for my daughter's future security and opportunities, added emotional depth to my renewed commitment to business leadership. Maria approached quietly to ensure that Emma remained comfortable during her nap, while offering refreshments and confirming meal preferences for the remainder of our flight. Her attentive service and professional discretion exemplified the culture of excellence that had made Meridian the preferred aviation choice for discerning clients who valued both luxury and privacy. The landscape visible through the aircraft windows had transitioned from the agricultural plains of the Midwest toward the increasingly dramatic terrain that preceded the Rocky Mountains. The geographical progression of our journey paralleled the psychological transformation I was experiencing. Moving from the familiar domestic environment of Chicago toward the expanded possibilities that awaited in Denver and beyond. I began drafting preliminary notes for the strategic planning sessions that would be necessary to formalize my return to active Meridian leadership. These plans would need to address immediate operational priorities, medium-term growth initiatives, and long-term vision for the company's development over the next decade. The intellectual engagement required for comprehensive strategic planning felt invigorating after years of managing household schedules and social obligations. The approaching Rocky Mountains, visible through the aircraft windows, provided a powerful metaphor for the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. Just as these geological formations had been created through immense pressure and gradual transformation over millions of years, my own professional resurrection was emerging from the pressure of personal crisis and years of accumulated experience and capability. Emma awakened from her nap refreshed and excited to observe the mountain scenery that was becoming visible in the distance. Her enthusiasm about the natural beauty and her questions about how mountains were formed provided opportunities for educational conversation that reminded me of the joy I found in sharing knowledge and encouraging curiosity. These teaching moments with Emma felt more natural and fulfilling than the social conversations I had been having with other mothers in Thomas's social circle, who typically focused on superficial topics rather than substantial learning and growth. As we began our approach toward Denver International Airport, Captain Mitchell provided professional updates on weather conditions and arrival procedures while ensuring that all passengers were properly prepared for landing. Her competent leadership and clear communication reflected the operational excellence that had made Meridian's safety record superior to industry standards and had built trust among clients who entrusted their lives to our aircraft and crews. The descent toward Denver provided spectacular views of the Front Range and the urban development that had transformed Colorado's landscape over recent decades. Emma's excitement about the mountain scenery and her questions about the cities and roads visible below created opportunities for geographic and cultural education that reminded me of the broader world of learning and exploration that awaited both of us. Marcus had prepared detailed briefing materials for our time in Denver, including meetings with potential clients, facility tours that would provide insights into expansion opportunities, and strategic sessions that would formalize my transition back to active company leadership. The comprehensive planning and coordination demonstrated by his preparation reflected the organizational capabilities that had enabled Meridian to prosper during my reduced involvement. As Meridian 7 touched down smoothly at Denver International Airport and taxied toward the private aviation terminal, I reflected on the profound transformation that had occurred during our flight from Chicago. The abandoned wife who had struggled with airport security that morning had become a successful entrepreneur, returning to lead a thriving company with expanded strategic vision and renewed personal confidence. Emma gathered her activities and prepared for arrival with the excitement of a child experiencing new adventures, her enthusiasm providing positive energy that offset any residual emotional impact from the morning's family crisis. Her adaptability and resilience reminded me that children possessed remarkable capacity for adjusting to changing circumstances when provided with security and loving guidance. The aircraft came to a complete stop at the private terminal, where ground services personnel stood ready to assist with our arrival procedures and ground transportation arrangements. The efficient coordination and professional service that characterized every aspect of Meridian's operations provided tangible evidence of the organizational culture and operational standards I had established during the company's foundational years. The private aviation terminal at Denver International Airport represented everything that distinguished Meridian Aviation from commercial travel experiences. The facility featured sophisticated architectural design, with floor-to-ceiling windows that provided spectacular views of the Front Range, comfortable seating areas appointed with luxury furnishings, and dedicated spaces for confidential business discussions that our clients frequently required during their travel experiences. Emma stepped off Meridian 7 with the excitement of a child discovering new environments, her curiosity immediately captured by the mountain scenery visible through the terminal windows and the professional activity of ground crew personnel servicing various private aircraft. Her enthusiastic questions about the different types of planes and the functions of various ground equipment provided opportunities for educational conversation while we completed arrival procedures. Marcus Rodriguez had coordinated comprehensive ground services that reflected Meridian's commitment to seamless travel experiences. A luxury vehicle waited at the terminal entrance with a professional driver who had been briefed on our requirements and schedule. The attention to detail and coordination demonstrated by these arrangements reminded me of the operational standards I had established during Meridian's early development and the culture of excellence that continued to distinguish our services. The drive from the airport toward downtown Denver provided opportunities to observe the substantial urban development that had transformed Colorado's landscape over recent decades. Emma maintained her fascination with the mountain views while asking questions about the geography and climate differences between Chicago and Denver. Her adaptability and curiosity about new environments reinforced my confidence that the lifestyle changes resulting from my return to active business leadership would provide positive experiences rather than disruptive challenges. Our accommodations at the Four Seasons Hotel Denver reflected the luxury standards that Meridian clients expected throughout their travel experiences. The suite had been selected to provide comfortable space for Emma, while offering the privacy and business amenities necessary for the strategic planning sessions Marcus had arranged. The hotel staff demonstrated the professional courtesy and discretion that characterized establishments accustomed to serving high-net-worth individuals who valued both luxury and confidentiality. Emma explored the suite with delight, particularly fascinated by the panoramic city and mountain views available from the living room windows. Her positive reaction to the upgraded accommodations provided evidence that the lifestyle benefits of my business success would enhance, rather than complicate her childhood experiences. The resources generated by Meridian's profitability enabled access to educational and cultural opportunities that would expand her understanding of the world while maintaining the stability and security essential for healthy development. Marcus had arranged meetings with 3 prospective clients who represented significant expansion opportunities for Meridian's operations in the western United States. These potential relationships included a technology entrepreneur who required frequent travel between Denver and Silicon Valley offices, an energy sector executive who needed reliable transportation to remote exploration sites throughout the Rocky Mountain region, and a prominent family whose charitable foundation activities required discreet travel coordination across multiple international destinations. The first meeting, scheduled for that afternoon at the hotel, involved Dr. Patricia Reeves, the founder of a medical device company that had achieved remarkable success developing innovative surgical instruments. Dr. Reeves required frequent travel between her Denver headquarters and clinical facilities in major medical centers across North America. Her current aviation arrangements involved commercial airlines supplemented by regional charter services that failed to provide the reliability and flexibility necessary for her demanding schedule. Dr. Reeves arrived at our suite, accompanied by her chief operating officer, demonstrating the collaborative decision-making approach that characterized successful entrepreneurs who understood the value of expert consultation on complex operational matters. Her presentation of transportation requirements revealed sophisticated understanding of how aviation services could enhance business efficiency while providing the security and discretion necessary for protecting proprietary medical information. The conversation with Dr. Reeves represented my first substantive client interaction in over 3 years, and I found myself naturally employing the consultative approach that had been instrumental in building Meridian's reputation among demanding clientele. Rather than simply presenting our standard service offerings, I focused on understanding the specific challenges and priorities that shaped her transportation needs, then developing customized solutions that addressed both immediate requirements and long-term strategic objectives. Emma remained quietly engaged with her activities during the business meeting, occasionally observing the adult conversation with the curiosity that characterized her approach to new experiences. Her appropriate behavior and genuine interest in learning provided evidence that she could adapt successfully to the travel and business environments that would characterize our lifestyle following my return to active company leadership. Dr. Reeves expressed particular interest in Meridian's safety record, crew qualifications, and maintenance standards, areas where our company's performance exceeded industry benchmarks through the rigorous operational procedures I had established during our foundational years. Her detailed questions about aircraft capabilities, scheduling flexibility, and cost structures demonstrated the analytical approach that had made her medical device company successful and indicated genuine interest in establishing a long-term aviation partnership. The meeting concluded with Dr. Reeves requesting a formal proposal that would outline service options and pricing structures for her anticipated travel requirements over the next fiscal year. Her decision to pursue detailed negotiations represented potential annual revenues exceeding $400,000, demonstrating the business development opportunities that warranted my direct involvement in client relationship management. Marcus and I spent the early evening hours developing comprehensive proposals that addressed Dr. Reeves's specific requirements while showcasing Meridian's competitive advantages in safety, flexibility, and service quality. The intellectual engagement and strategic thinking required for this client development work reminded me of the professional satisfaction I had experienced during Meridian's early growth periods, when every new relationship represented validation of our value proposition and expansion of our market presence. Emma enjoyed room service dinner while observing the city lights and mountain silhouettes visible from our suite windows. Her contentment with the travel experience and positive attitude toward the changes occurring in our family situation provided confidence that the lifestyle adjustments resulting from my business re-engagement would enhance rather than disrupt her development and happiness. The second day in Denver included facility tours and meetings that provided insights into expansion opportunities for Meridian's Western operations. The Denver metropolitan area had experienced substantial population and economic growth that created demand for luxury services among newly affluent residents who required reliable aviation access to business centers throughout North America. Local real estate developers had constructed multiple private aviation facilities designed to serve the growing community of high-net-worth individuals who were relocating to Colorado for lifestyle and business advantages. These facilities offered opportunities for Meridian to establish permanent operations that could serve regional clients while providing strategic positioning for expansion throughout the western United States. Emma accompanied me to several business meetings, her presence adding warmth and authenticity to professional conversations while demonstrating the family-oriented values that resonated with many prospective clients. Her appropriate behavior and genuine curiosity about aviation operations impressed business contacts who appreciated the personal dimension she brought to what might otherwise have been purely transactional discussions. The most significant meeting involved representatives from Rocky Mountain Corporate Aviation, a facility management company that operated private terminals and aircraft servicing capabilities at airports throughout Colorado, Wyoming, and Utah. Their proposal involved establishing a regional partnership that would provide Meridian with operational infrastructure and local market knowledge, while expanding their service offerings to include premium charter and management services. This partnership opportunity represented the type of strategic alliance that could accelerate Meridian's western expansion, while minimizing capital investment and operational risk. The combination of our service standards and client relationships with their infrastructure and regional expertise could create competitive advantages that would be difficult for other aviation companies to replicate. Marcus and I spent several hours analyzing the financial and operational implications of various partnership structures, evaluating potential benefits against implementation challenges and resource requirements. The complexity and strategic significance of these decisions reinforced my recognition that Meridian's continued growth would benefit substantially from my direct involvement in major business development initiatives. Emma explored the aviation facilities with fascination, asking detailed questions about aircraft maintenance procedures, fuel systems, and flight planning operations. Her curiosity about technical aspects of aviation reminded me of my own childhood interest in flight operations, and suggested that she might develop genuine appreciation for the industry that had provided our family's security and opportunities. The facility tours provided opportunities to observe Meridian 7 alongside other private aircraft, and the comparison reinforced my pride in the quality standards and aesthetic choices that distinguished our fleet from competitors. The attention to detail in aircraft customization and maintenance reflected the culture of excellence that had made Meridian the preferred choice among clients who demanded superior service and reliability. During our final evening in Denver, Marcus presented comprehensive analysis of the Western expansion opportunities we had evaluated, including financial projections, operational requirements, and competitive positioning assessments. His presentation demonstrated sophisticated strategic thinking and thorough preparation that validated my confidence in the management team's capabilities, while highlighting areas where my direct involvement could accelerate growth and enhance decision-making effectiveness. The most compelling opportunity involved establishing a Denver-based operation that could serve the growing technology and energy sectors while providing strategic positioning for expansion into California, Arizona, and Texas markets. The financial projections indicated potential for substantial revenue growth with acceptable risk levels, assuming successful execution of client development and operational coordination strategies. Emma fell asleep in the comfortable hotel suite while I continued working on strategic planning documents and client proposals. Her peaceful sleep and obvious contentment with our travel experience provided reassurance that the lifestyle changes resulting from my return to business leadership would enhance rather than complicate her childhood development and family security. The combination of successful client meetings, promising partnership opportunities, and comprehensive strategic analysis had transformed my understanding of Meridian's growth potential and my role in realizing those opportunities. The 3 years I had spent focused on domestic responsibilities had coincided with substantial market expansion and competitive developments that created unprecedented possibilities for business growth and personal professional fulfillment. Marcus confirmed travel arrangements for our return to Chicago the following morning, including ground transportation coordination and flight planning that would ensure seamless travel while accommodating Emma's schedule and comfort requirements. The efficient coordination and attention to detail demonstrated by these arrangements reflected the operational standards that had made Meridian successful and continued to distinguish our services from competitors. As I reviewed the comprehensive business intelligence we had gathered during our Denver visit, I began developing preliminary implementation strategies for the most promising expansion opportunities. The intellectual challenges and strategic complexity involved in these decisions reminded me of the entrepreneurial excitement I had experienced during Meridian's foundational years, when every choice represented potential for growth and market leadership. The irony of Thomas's timing in abandoning our family became increasingly apparent as I absorbed the magnitude of business opportunities that were emerging precisely when he had chosen to pursue his relationship with Jessica Morrison. His decision to forfeit our marriage had occurred at the moment when Meridian was positioned for its most significant expansion phase, and when my return to active leadership could generate substantial personal and financial benefits. Emma stirred in her sleep and adjusted her position in the comfortable hotel bed, her unconscious movements reflecting the security and stability that Meridian's success had provided throughout her young life. The realization that my business achievements had created not only personal fulfillment, but also tangible benefits for my daughter's future security and educational opportunities, added emotional depth to my renewed commitment to company leadership. The Denver visit had accomplished multiple strategic objectives, while providing confirmation that my return to active business involvement would generate both immediate operational benefits and long-term growth opportunities. The client relationships we had developed, the partnership possibilities we had identified, and the market intelligence we had gathered represented foundation elements for Meridian's next phase of expansion and competitive positioning. As I prepared for sleep in the luxury hotel suite, surrounded by business documents and strategic plans that represented concrete opportunities for growth and achievement, I reflected on the transformation that had occurred since Thomas's abandonment at Chicago Airport Security. The desperate wife who had struggled to find her boarding pass had evolved into a confident business leader preparing to expand her company's operations and market presence. The mountain views visible through the suite windows provided a powerful metaphor for the elevated perspective and expanded possibilities that had emerged from what initially appeared to be personal crisis and family dissolution. Just as the Rocky Mountains represented geological forces that had transformed the landscape over immense time periods, my return to business leadership represented personal and professional forces that would reshape both my individual identity and my family's future trajectory. Tomorrow's return flight to Chicago would mark the beginning of implementation phases for the strategic initiatives we had developed during our Denver visit. The comprehensive planning and coordination required for executing these expansion opportunities would provide intellectual challenges and professional satisfaction that had been absent during my years of reduced business involvement. Emma's peaceful sleep and obvious comfort with our travel experiences provided confidence that the lifestyle changes resulting from my business re-engagement would enhance, rather than disrupt her development and happiness. The resources and opportunities generated by Meridian's success would enable educational and cultural experiences that expanded her understanding of the world, while maintaining the stability and security essential for healthy childhood development. The morning departure from Denver International Airport proceeded with the seamless efficiency that characterized all Meridian aviation operations. Emma had awakened, refreshed, and excited about the return flight to Chicago, her enthusiasm for aviation experiences having grown substantially during our Western adventure. The mountain sunrise visible through our hotel suite windows provided spectacular scenery that Emma attempted to describe in her developing vocabulary, her wonder at natural beauty reinforcing my appreciation for the expanded horizons that business travel could provide. Captain Mitchell and First Officer Park had completed comprehensive flight preparations while we finished breakfast and final packing procedures. Their professional competence and attention to safety protocols continued to exemplify the operational standards that had made Meridian's safety records superior to industry benchmarks. The crew's obvious respect for my ownership role and their enthusiasm for my return to active company leadership provided additional confirmation that my decision to resume business involvement would benefit both individual team members and overall organizational effectiveness. Marcus Rodriguez had remained in Denver overnight to complete negotiations with Rocky Mountain Corporate Aviation and finalize preliminary agreements for the partnership arrangements we had discussed. His dedication to advancing Meridian's strategic interests, even during what should have been his personal time, demonstrated the commitment and professional excellence that had enabled the company to prosper during my years of reduced involvement. The trust and responsibility he had accepted during my absence had prepared him for expanded leadership roles that would be necessary as Meridian grew beyond its current operational scope. The ground transportation from our hotel to the private aviation terminal provided opportunities for Emma to observe Denver's morning activity while asking questions about the differences between mountain and prairie landscapes. Her curiosity about geography and natural phenomena suggested intellectual development that would benefit from the educational travel opportunities that Meridian's resources could provide. The combination of business travel and family experiences could offer cultural enrichment that extended far beyond conventional childhood activities. Emma's adaptation to luxury travel environments had been remarkably smooth, her natural curiosity and positive attitude enabling her to enjoy new experiences while maintaining appropriate behavior in sophisticated settings. Her interactions with Meridian personnel demonstrated the social confidence and respectful manner that would serve her well as she grew up in environments where professional excellence and personal integrity were expected standards rather than exceptional achievements. The pre-flight briefing provided by Captain Mitchell included weather conditions that would ensure smooth travel conditions and optimal flight efficiency. The meteorological factors affecting our route demonstrated the comprehensive planning and professional expertise that clients relied upon when selecting Meridian for critical business and personal transportation requirements. The ability to provide reliable service despite challenging conditions had been instrumental in building our reputation among demanding clientele who could not afford travel disruptions or scheduling complications. As Meridian 7 prepared for departure, I reflected on the substantial transformation that had occurred during our brief Denver visit. The business meetings, strategic planning sessions, and market analysis activities had reawakened professional capabilities that had remained dormant during my domestic focus years. The intellectual engagement and strategic thinking required for complex business development represented personal fulfillment that domestic responsibilities had not provided, despite their importance for family stability and Emma's early development. The takeoff from Denver International Airport provided spectacular views of the Front Range and the urban development that characterized Colorado's economic expansion. Emma maintained her fascination with the mountain scenery while asking questions about how cities grew and why people chose different places to live and work. Her curiosity about human geography and economic development suggested analytical thinking that could benefit from exposure to diverse business environments and strategic decision-making processes. The flight to Chicago would provide approximately 2 hours for continued strategic planning and preparation for the implementation phases of Meridian's expansion initiatives. The comprehensive market intelligence we had gathered in Denver required detailed analysis and integration with existing operational capabilities to develop realistic implementation timelines and resource allocation strategies. The complexity of coordinating multiple expansion opportunities simultaneously would test both my strategic planning abilities and Marcus's operational management expertise. Flight attendant Maria Santos ensured that Emma remained comfortable and engaged during the flight while providing the privacy necessary for continued business discussions. Her professional discretion and genuine care for passenger welfare exemplified the service culture that had made Meridian the preferred aviation choice for families who valued both luxury amenities and child-friendly environments. The ability to accommodate diverse passenger requirements within a single service framework had been crucial for building our client base among high-net-worth individuals with complex travel needs. During the flight, I began developing comprehensive implementation strategies for the Denver expansion opportunity, including staffing requirements, operational procedures, and financial projections that would guide decision-making during the coming months. The analytical rigor and strategic thinking required for these planning activities reminded me of the intellectual challenges that had originally attracted me to entrepreneurship and business leadership. The opportunity to build something significant and valuable provided personal satisfaction that extended beyond financial benefits or professional recognition. Emma had become absorbed in educational activities that Maria had selected specifically for young travelers, her concentration and enjoyment demonstrating the learning capacity that would benefit from continued exposure to diverse environments and experiences. The travel lifestyle that accompanied business leadership could provide educational opportunities that conventional childhood activities might not offer, assuming appropriate balance between adventure and stability. The Chicago skyline became visible as we approached our destination, the familiar urban landscape representing both the comfortable familiarity of home and the challenging transition that awaited as I resumed active leadership of Meridian's operations. The company headquarters facilities would require updating to accommodate expanded activities, and the management structure would need adjustment to integrate my return while maintaining the effective operational procedures that Marcus had developed during my absence. Captain Mitchell announced our approach to Chicago Executive Airport, where Meridian maintained its primary operational facilities and where the management team would be assembled for comprehensive briefings on our Denver initiatives. The transition from business development travel to operational implementation would test both individual capabilities and organizational systems that had evolved during my reduced involvement in company affairs. Emma prepared for landing with the practiced ease of someone who had already adapted to aviation travel, her comfort with flight procedures, and her positive attitude toward new experiences providing confidence that future business travel would enhance rather than complicate her development and education. The resources generated by Meridian's success would enable educational and cultural opportunities that expanded her understanding of the world, while maintaining the stability essential for healthy childhood development. The landing at Chicago Executive Airport proceeded smoothly, with ground personnel providing the efficient service coordination that characterized Meridian's home base operations. The familiar environment of our primary facility represented both operational continuity and the exciting possibilities that accompanied my return to active business leadership. The comprehensive capabilities and professional expertise available at our Chicago headquarters would enable implementation of expansion strategies that had been developed during our Denver visit. Marcus had coordinated meetings with key management personnel, who would be instrumental in executing the Western expansion initiatives. These discussions would require careful balance between ambitious growth objectives and realistic assessment of organizational capabilities and resource constraints. The experience and judgment developed during Meridian's early years would be crucial for making strategic decisions that maximized opportunities, while minimizing risks that could compromise operational effectiveness or client service quality. Emma's excitement about returning to familiar surroundings was balanced by her continued curiosity about the business activities she had observed during our travels. Her questions about why adults traveled for work and how companies provided services to customers demonstrated cognitive development that would benefit from continued exposure to professional environments and strategic thinking processes. The integration of family life and business responsibilities could provide unique educational opportunities that conventional childhood experiences might not offer. The drive from Chicago Executive Airport to our Lincoln Park residence provided opportunities to observe the urban environment that had been our family's foundation before Thomas's abandonment disrupted our established routines and relationships. The familiar neighborhoods and landmarks represented both the comfort of known surroundings and the reality that our family structure had changed permanently through Thomas's decision to prioritize his relationship with Jessica Morrison over his marriage and parental responsibilities. Emma's questions about whether her father would be waiting at home required careful responses that acknowledged the changed family circumstances while maintaining appropriate emotional support and stability. The challenge of explaining adult relationship failures to a young child demanded honesty balanced with age-appropriate information that protected her psychological well-being, while preparing her for the new family configuration that would characterize our future. The Lincoln Park mansion that had been our family residence represented both substantial financial investment and the lifestyle expectations that had characterized my marriage to Thomas Sterling. The property's value and location reflected the economic success that had been achieved through the combination of Meridian's profitability and Thomas's real estate development activities. The question of whether to maintain this residence or seek alternative accommodations would depend upon practical considerations and emotional associations that required careful evaluation. Emma ran through the familiar rooms of our home with obvious joy, her attachment to known spaces and belongings providing stability during a period of significant family transition. Her resilience and adaptability demonstrated the psychological strength that would enable her to adjust successfully to whatever lifestyle changes resulted from my return to active business leadership and the dissolution of my marriage to Thomas. The house's silence and emptiness confirmed that Thomas had not returned from his Denver trip with Jessica Morrison, though personal belongings remained in locations that suggested he intended to maintain some connection to the residence and possibly to our family relationships. The ambiguity of his intentions and the uncertainty about his future plans created practical complications that would require legal consultation and strategic decision-making regarding property ownership and custody arrangements. As Emma settled into her familiar bedroom environment, I began reviewing the comprehensive strategic plans and business development materials that had been generated during our Denver visit. The intellectual challenges and implementation requirements represented exciting opportunities for professional growth and business expansion that would provide both personal fulfillment and enhanced financial security for Emma's future education and development needs. The evening hours provided opportunities for reflection on the remarkable transformation that had occurred since Thomas's airport abandonment 3 days earlier. The desperate wife who had struggled with security procedures had evolved into a confident business leader, prepared to expand her company's operations and market presence. The crisis that had initially appeared devastating had revealed opportunities for personal empowerment and professional achievement that exceeded anything I had imagined possible during my years of domestic focus. Emma's bedtime routine proceeded normally despite the significant changes that had occurred in our family structure. Her adaptability and emotional resilience, providing evidence that children could adjust successfully to changing circumstances when provided with consistent love and appropriate guidance. The stability and security that Meridian's resources could provide would enable her to pursue educational and cultural opportunities while maintaining the emotional support necessary for healthy development. As I prepared for sleep in the master bedroom that had been shared with Thomas throughout our marriage, I reflected on the comprehensive strategic initiatives that would occupy my attention during the coming weeks and months. The business planning, client development, and operational coordination required for implementing Meridian's expansion strategies would provide intellectual challenges and professional satisfaction that had been absent during my years of reduced business involvement. The Denver visit had accomplished multiple strategic objectives, while confirming that my return to active company leadership would generate both immediate operational benefits and long-term growth opportunities. The client relationships we had developed, the partnership possibilities we had identified, and the market intelligence we had gathered represented foundation elements for Meridian's next phase of expansion and competitive positioning. Thomas's decision to abandon our family at Chicago Airport Security had inadvertently provided the catalyst for personal and professional transformation that would ultimately benefit both Emma and myself far more than maintaining the status quo of domestic focus and marital compromise. The resources and opportunities generated by Meridian's success would enable lifestyle choices and educational experiences that Thomas's real estate development career could never have provided, even under optimal circumstances. The combination of business achievement, personal empowerment, and family security that characterized my current circumstances represented vindication of the entrepreneurial instincts and strategic capabilities that had built Meridian Aviation into a leading private aviation company. The competence and competence that had been temporarily subordinated to domestic responsibilities had returned with enhanced perspective and expanded strategic vision that would guide future decision-making and goal achievement. Tomorrow would mark the beginning of implementation phases for the comprehensive business strategies that had been developed during our productive Denver visit. The intellectual challenges and operational complexities involved in expanding Meridian's market presence would provide professional fulfillment and personal satisfaction that extended far beyond financial benefits or industry recognition. The morning after our return from Denver marked the beginning of a comprehensive restructuring process that would integrate my resumed leadership role with Meridian Aviation's existing operational framework. Emma awakened in her familiar bedroom with renewed energy and curiosity about the activities that would characterize our new daily routine. Her questions about whether we would be traveling frequently and what kinds of work I would be doing demonstrated her growing awareness that significant changes were occurring in our family structure and lifestyle. The first priority involved establishing dedicated workspace within our Lincoln Park residence that could accommodate the administrative and strategic planning activities required for effective business leadership. The home office that had previously served primarily for managing household affairs and social correspondence required substantial enhancement to support complex business operations, client communications, and strategic coordination with Meridian's management team. Emma observed these workspace modifications with fascination, asking detailed questions about the purpose of various business equipment and communication systems. Her curiosity about professional activities provided opportunities for age-appropriate explanations about how businesses operated and why strategic planning was essential for organizational success. These conversations represented the beginning of her education about entrepreneurship and business leadership that would continue throughout her development years. Marcus Rodriguez arrived at the residence mid-morning with comprehensive briefing materials that documented the current status of all strategic initiatives discussed during our Denver visit. His preparation and organizational capabilities had enabled him to maintain momentum on multiple business development opportunities, while ensuring that routine operational requirements continued to receive appropriate attention. The efficiency and thoroughness of his approach validated my confidence in the management team's ability to support expanded business activities. The briefing session revealed that Dr. Patricia Reeves had responded favorably to the service proposals we had developed during our Denver meetings. Her medical device company was prepared to execute a comprehensive aviation services agreement that would generate substantial annual revenues while establishing Meridian's presence in the growing Colorado market. The terms and conditions she had proposed were acceptable and would serve as a foundation for additional client development activities throughout the Western region. Rocky Mountain Corporate Aviation had also confirmed their interest in pursuing the partnership arrangements we had discussed, though they requested additional financial analysis and operational planning before finalizing formal agreements. Their requirements were reasonable and demonstrated the thorough due diligence approach that characterized successful business relationships. The partnership structure would provide Meridian with regional infrastructure and market access, while offering our partners enhanced service capabilities that could attract new clientele. Emma played quietly with educational activities, while Marcus and I reviewed comprehensive financial projections and operational planning documents. Her appropriate behavior and genuine interest in observing adult business discussions provided evidence that she could adapt successfully to environments where professional activities occurred regularly. The integration of family life and business responsibilities would require careful planning, but offered opportunities for unique educational experiences that conventional childhood activities might not provide. The strategic planning session extended through the lunch hour as we developed detailed implementation timelines and resource allocation strategies for Meridian's Western expansion initiatives. The complexity and coordination requirements involved in executing multiple growth opportunities simultaneously would test both individual capabilities and organizational systems that had been developed during my years of reduced business involvement. The analytical rigor and strategic thinking required for these activities reminded me of the intellectual challenges that had originally attracted me to entrepreneurship. Marcus presented updated financial reports that demonstrated Meridian's continued strong performance across all operational metrics during the period of our Denver business development activities. The company's profitability margins had improved further due to operational efficiency enhancements and favorable market conditions that had increased demand for premium aviation services. The financial strength indicated by these reports provided confidence that Meridian possessed the resources necessary to support ambitious expansion strategies while maintaining the service quality standards that distinguished our offerings from competitors. Emma joined us for lunch in the residence's formal dining room, her presence adding warmth and perspective to business discussions that might otherwise have focused exclusively on financial and operational considerations. Her questions about why people needed airplane transportation and how companies decided where to expand their services demonstrated cognitive development that would benefit from continued exposure to strategic thinking processes and business decision-making environments. The afternoon session focused on organizational structure modifications that would accommodate my return to active leadership while preserving the effective management systems that Marcus had developed during my absence. The challenge involved creating clear authority relationships and communication protocols that utilized my strategic expertise while respecting the operational competence that had enabled Meridian to prosper under Marcus's direction. The solution required sophisticated organizational design that balanced multiple considerations and stakeholder interests. Marcus proposed a structure that designated me as Chief Executive Officer with primary responsibility for strategic planning, business development, and major client relationships, while he continued as Chief Operating Officer with authority over daily operations, personnel management, and routine client services. This arrangement would leverage our respective strengths while ensuring comprehensive coverage of all essential business functions. The approach reflected mature organizational thinking that prioritized company effectiveness over individual recognition or authority concerns. The proposed structure also included provisions for gradual expansion of the management team, as Meridian's operations grew beyond the scope that two senior executives could effectively oversee. The succession planning and leadership development considerations embedded in these organizational concepts demonstrated long-term strategic thinking that would position the company for sustained growth while maintaining operational stability during transition periods. Emma explored the residence's library while Marcus and I continued planning sessions, her fascination with books and learning materials providing reassurance that the intellectual environment of our home would continue to support her educational development despite the significant changes occurring in our family structure. The combination of business activities and educational resources could create unique opportunities for accelerated learning and cognitive development. The late afternoon hours were devoted to reviewing client relationship management procedures and communication protocols that would ensure seamless service delivery during the organizational transition period. Meridian's reputation for reliability and excellence had been built through consistent attention to client needs and expectations, and the implementation of expanded services required careful coordination to maintain these performance standards. The client portfolio analysis revealed opportunities for enhanced service offerings to existing customers who might benefit from the expanded capabilities that Western operations would provide. Several current clients had expressed interest in California and Colorado destinations that could be served more efficiently through Denver-based operations than through Chicago origination. The potential for increased revenues from existing relationships represented an additional benefit of the expansion strategy beyond new client acquisition possibilities. Marcus had prepared comprehensive personnel assessments that identified current staff members who possessed the qualifications and interests necessary for potential relocation to Denver operations. The availability of experienced team members who could transfer to Western facilities would accelerate the establishment of new operations, while maintaining the service culture and operational standards that characterized Meridian's Chicago-based activities. Emma appeared in the library doorway to announce that she had completed her afternoon educational activities and was ready for outdoor recreation time. Her ability to manage independent learning while remaining aware of family schedule requirements demonstrated the self-direction and responsibility that would serve her well as business travel and professional obligations became regular aspects of our lifestyle. The evening hours provided opportunities for continued strategic planning, while maintaining appropriate attention to Emma's needs for family interaction and routine childhood activities. The challenge of balancing intensive business responsibilities with committed parenting represented a complex optimization problem that required careful attention to both professional effectiveness and family relationship quality. Emma's bedtime routine proceeded normally despite the business activities that had occupied much of the day, her adaptability and emotional stability providing evidence that she could adjust successfully to lifestyle changes that included regular professional responsibilities. Her questions about the day's activities and her expressions of interest in future travel plans demonstrated engagement with our changing circumstances rather than anxiety about family disruption. As Emma settled into sleep, I reflected on the comprehensive business development that had been accomplished during our first full day back in Chicago. The strategic initiatives, Organizational planning and operational coordination that had been addressed represented substantial progress toward implementing the expansion opportunities identified during our Denver visit. The intellectual engagement and professional satisfaction derived from these activities reinforced my commitment to resuming active business leadership. The residence's quiet evening atmosphere provided ideal conditions for reviewing the extensive documentation and strategic planning materials that had been generated throughout the day. The complexity and scope of the initiatives under development required careful analysis and coordination to ensure successful implementation while maintaining Meridian's reputation for operational excellence and client service quality. Marcus had remained throughout the evening to complete final coordination activities and prepare for the management team meetings that would be conducted during the following days. His dedication to advancing Meridian's interests and his collaborative approach to organizational leadership demonstrated the professional maturity and business judgment that had enabled the company to thrive during my years of reduced involvement. The strategic planning documents we had developed provided comprehensive frameworks for decision-making and resource allocation during the implementation phases of Meridian's Western expansion. The analytical thoroughness and operational detail embedded in these plans reflected the experience and expertise that had been accumulated during the company's development and growth periods. The financial projections indicated that successful execution of the expansion strategies could increase Meridian's annual revenues by approximately 60% within 18 months, while maintaining profitability margins that exceeded current performance levels. These projections assumed successful client acquisition, efficient operational integration, and market conditions that remained favorable for premium aviation services. The risk assessment components of our strategic planning identified potential challenges and mitigation strategies that would protect Meridian's interests while pursuing aggressive growth objectives. The comprehensive approach to risk management reflected lessons learned during the company's early development, when careful attention to potential problems had prevented operational disruptions that could have compromised client relationships or financial performance. Emma's peaceful sleep in her familiar bedroom provided a stabilizing influence that balanced the excitement and intensity of business planning activities. Her presence and well-being represented the ultimate purpose underlying all professional achievements and business success. The resources and opportunities generated through Meridian's growth would enhance her educational possibilities and life experiences while providing the security necessary for healthy development. The late evening hours allowed for personal reflection on the remarkable transformation that had occurred since Thomas's abandonment at Chicago Airport Security. The crisis that had initially appeared devastating had catalyzed personal and professional changes that offered possibilities for achievement and fulfillment that exceeded anything I had previously imagined. The combination of business leadership, financial independence, and family responsibility represented an integrated approach to life that honored multiple priorities and values. Thomas's decision to prioritize his relationship with Jessica Morrison over his marriage and parental responsibilities had inadvertently provided the motivation and opportunity for me to reclaim the professional identity and entrepreneurial capabilities that had been temporarily subordinated to domestic focus and family support activities. His assumption that I would be helpless without his support had been thoroughly contradicted by the efficient response and comprehensive capabilities that Meridian's organization had demonstrated. The strategic initiatives under development would position Meridian for sustained growth and market leadership while providing professional challenges and intellectual satisfaction that extended far beyond financial benefits or industry recognition. The opportunity to build something significant and valuable offered personal fulfillment that domestic responsibilities alone had not provided, despite their importance for family stability and Emma's early development. The comprehensive business planning and organizational development that had been accomplished during our first day back in Chicago represented substantial progress toward achieving the strategic objectives identified during our Denver visit. The foundation had been established for implementation activities that would transform planning concepts into operational realities while maintaining the service excellence and client satisfaction that distinguished Meridian from competitors. Tomorrow would bring additional coordination activities and management team meetings that would further advance the expansion initiatives while addressing routine operational requirements that ensured continued service quality for existing clients. The balance between strategic development and operational excellence would require ongoing attention to multiple priorities and stakeholder interests. The evening's strategic planning activities had confirmed that my return to active business leadership would generate both immediate operational benefits and long-term growth opportunities that could enhance Meridian's market position, while providing personal and professional satisfaction that justified the lifestyle changes required for effective company management. The integration of entrepreneurial achievement with family responsibility offered possibilities for comprehensive life satisfaction that honored multiple values and priorities. The second day following our return from Denver commenced with a comprehensive management team meeting at Meridian Aviation's Chicago headquarters facility. The purpose of this gathering involved presenting the strategic expansion initiatives developed during our Western business development trip, while securing organizational commitment for the implementation phases that would follow. Emma accompanied me to the corporate offices, her presence providing continuity with the family-integrated approach that had characterized our recent business activities. The Meridian headquarters building reflected the professional standards and attention to quality that had distinguished the company throughout its development. The facility housed administrative offices, crew briefing rooms, maintenance coordination centers, and client services areas that collectively supported the comprehensive aviation services we provided to discerning clientele. Emma explored the child-friendly spaces that had been designed to accommodate families during business visits, her comfort in the professional environment demonstrating successful adaptation to the lifestyle changes that accompanied my return to active company leadership. Marcus Rodriguez had prepared detailed presentation materials that documented the business opportunities identified during our Denver meetings, while providing financial analysis and operational planning frameworks necessary for informed decision-making. The thoroughness and professional quality of his preparation reflected the management capabilities that had enabled Meridian to prosper during my years of reduced involvement, while establishing foundation elements for future expansion and growth. The management team assembled for the strategic planning session included department heads responsible for flight operations, maintenance services, client relations, financial administration, and business development activities. These individuals collectively possessed decades of aviation industry experience and had demonstrated commitment to the operational excellence that characterized Meridian's service delivery. Their expertise and judgment would be essential for successful implementation of the ambitious expansion strategies under consideration. Captain Sarah Mitchell provided operational analysis of the Western expansion requirements, including crew scheduling implications, aircraft positioning strategies, and regulatory compliance considerations that would accompany establishment of Denver-based services. Her presentation demonstrated sophisticated understanding of the logistical complexities involved in multi-location operations, while identifying solutions that could minimize implementation challenges and ensure continued service reliability. Emma observed the professional presentation with genuine interest, occasionally asking quiet questions about aviation terminology and operational procedures that provided educational opportunities while maintaining appropriate meeting decorum. Her curiosity about business operations and strategic planning processes suggested intellectual development that would benefit from continued exposure to professional environments and decision-making activities. The financial analysis presented by Chief Financial Officer David Park confirmed the revenue projections and profitability estimates that had been developed during our Denver strategic planning activities. His assessment indicated that the Western expansion initiatives could generate substantial returns on investment, while maintaining the conservative financial management principles that had protected Meridian during previous economic uncertainties. The financial strength demonstrated by his reports provided confidence that the company possessed resources necessary for supporting aggressive growth strategies. Client Services Director Lisa Chen presented comprehensive analysis of customer satisfaction metrics and service delivery performance indicators that validated Meridian's competitive positioning and reputation for excellence. Her data demonstrated consistent achievement of service quality standards that exceeded industry benchmarks while identifying opportunities for enhanced offerings that could differentiate our services from competing aviation providers. The client relationship strength indicated by her analysis provided foundation for expansion activities that would leverage existing reputation and referral networks. Marcus facilitated detailed discussion of organizational structure modifications that would accommodate expanded operations while preserving the management effectiveness and operational coordination that had enabled current success levels. The proposed changes reflected careful consideration of individual capabilities, responsibility distribution, and communication protocols that would ensure seamless integration of Western operations with existing Chicago-based activities. Emma participated in the employee dining area during the lunch break, her interactions with Meridian's staff members, demonstrating the social confidence and respectful behavior that would serve her well in professional environments. The positive response she received from team members reflected the family-friendly culture that had been cultivated throughout the organization, and the genuine care that employees demonstrated for stakeholder well-being. The afternoon session focused on implementation timeline development and resource allocation planning that would guide execution of the Western Expansion Initiative. The complexity involved in coordinating multiple operational elements simultaneously required detailed project management approaches and clear accountability structures that would ensure progress monitoring and problem resolution capabilities. The implementation strategy included phased rollout procedures that would minimize operational risk while enabling systematic capability development and market penetration. The initial phase involved establishing Denver-based operations to serve Dr. Patricia Reeves and other identified client opportunities, while developing partnership relationships with Rocky Mountain Corporate Aviation. Subsequent phases would expand service territory and client base according to market response and operational capacity development. Crew scheduling and training requirements for the Western expansion represented significant logistical challenges that demanded careful coordination with existing operational commitments. The analysis indicated that successful implementation would require recruitment of additional flight crews and support personnel who possessed qualifications and experience levels consistent with Meridian's service standards. The personnel development timeline would influence the pace of expansion activities and the sequence of market entry strategies. Emma explored the aircraft maintenance facilities with supervised guidance from technical personnel who explained safety procedures and equipment functions in terms appropriate for young visitors. Her fascination with the complex systems and precision requirements involved in aviation maintenance provided educational content while demonstrating the technical excellence that supported Meridian's safety record and operational reliability. The strategic planning session concluded with formal approval of the Western Expansion Initiative and authorization for implementation activities according to the timelines and resource allocations that had been developed. The unanimous support demonstrated by the management team validated the strategic analysis while providing organizational commitment necessary for successful execution of ambitious growth objectives. Marcus coordinated preparation of comprehensive implementation documentation that would guide execution activities and provide performance monitoring frameworks for tracking progress against established objectives. The systematic approach to project management reflected best practices that had been developed during previous expansion initiatives while incorporating lessons learned from earlier growth experiences. Emma accompanied me during the facility tour that concluded our headquarters visit, her questions about various operational areas providing opportunities for continued education about aviation industry functions and business management principles. Her engagement with professional environments and her positive interactions with Meridian personnel reinforced confidence that the lifestyle changes accompanying my return to business leadership would enhance rather than complicate her development in educational experiences. The drive home from Meridian headquarters provided opportunities for reflection on the productive strategic planning session and the organizational commitment that had been secured for the Western Expansion Initiative. The comprehensive preparation and unanimous support demonstrated by the management team validated the decision to pursue aggressive growth strategies while providing confidence that implementation activities would proceed according to planned timelines and performance objectives. Emma shared her observations about the aircraft and facilities she had explored during our headquarters visit, her detailed questions and accurate recollections demonstrating cognitive development and learning capacity that would benefit from continued exposure to complex systems and professional environments. The integration of family activities with business responsibilities continued to provide unique educational opportunities that conventional childhood experiences might not offer. The evening hours at our Lincoln Park residence were devoted to reviewing implementation documentation and coordinating preparation activities for the client meetings and partnership negotiations that would commence during the following week. The strategic planning materials required careful analysis and organization to ensure effective presentation and negotiation approaches that would maximize successful outcomes for Meridian's expansion objectives. Emma's bedtime routine proceeded smoothly despite the intensive business activities that had characterized the day, her emotional stability and positive attitude providing evidence that she continued to adapt successfully to the lifestyle changes that accompanied my return to active company leadership. Her questions about future travel plans and business activities demonstrated engagement with our changing circumstances, rather than anxiety about family disruption or uncertainty. The residence's quiet evening atmosphere provided ideal conditions for continued strategic planning and preparation activities that would support successful implementation of the expansion initiatives approved during the management team meeting. The comprehensive documentation and analytical frameworks that had been developed required ongoing refinement and coordination to ensure optimal execution effectiveness. The financial projections and operational planning elements embedded in the implementation strategy indicated potential for substantial revenue growth and market expansion that could establish Meridian as the leading premium aviation service provider throughout the Western United States. The achievement of these strategic objectives would require sustained attention to execution excellence and continuous monitoring of performance against established benchmarks. The organizational capabilities and management expertise demonstrated during the strategic planning session provided confidence that Meridian possessed the human resources and operational systems necessary for successful expansion execution, while maintaining the service quality standards that distinguished our offerings from competitors. The team commitment and professional competence that had been displayed validated the investment in personnel development and organizational culture that had been made during the company's foundational years. The partnership opportunities with Rocky Mountain Corporate Aviation represented strategic relationships that could accelerate market penetration while providing operational infrastructure and regional expertise that would enhance service delivery capabilities. The successful negotiation and implementation of these partnerships would require careful attention to relationship management and mutual benefit optimization that honored the interests of all participating organizations. Emma's peaceful sleep in her familiar bedroom environment provided stabilizing influence that balanced the excitement and intensity of business planning activities while maintaining focus on the ultimate purposes underlying professional achievement and business success. Her well-being and educational development represented the most important outcomes that would result from successful implementation of strategic expansion initiatives. Marcus had scheduled follow-up coordination meetings that would advance preparation activities for client presentations and partnership negotiations during the coming week. The systematic approach to implementation planning reflected organizational maturity and project management expertise that had been developed through previous growth experiences, while incorporating enhanced analytical capabilities and strategic thinking frameworks. The Western Expansion Initiative represented the most ambitious growth strategy that Meridian had undertaken since the company's foundational period, requiring coordination of multiple operational elements and strategic relationships while maintaining existing service commitments and performance standards. The successful execution of these expansion activities would position the company for sustained growth and market leadership throughout the Western United States. The comprehensive strategic planning and organizational preparation that had been accomplished during the management team meeting provided solid foundation for implementation activities that would transform planning concepts into operational realities. The unanimous support and professional commitment demonstrated by the management team validated the strategic analysis, while ensuring adequate resources and expertise for successful expansion execution. The integration of family responsibilities with intensive business leadership continued to require careful balance and ongoing attention to multiple priorities and stakeholder interests. The successful management of these competing demands while maintaining excellence in both areas represented personal and professional challenges that offered opportunities for continued growth and development. Tomorrow would bring additional coordination activities and preparation sessions that would advance implementation planning while addressing routine operational requirements that ensured continued service excellence for existing clients. The balance between strategic development and operational maintenance would require sustained attention to performance monitoring and resource allocation optimization. The evening's strategic planning activities had confirmed that Meridian possessed the organizational capabilities, financial resources, and market opportunities necessary for successful Western expansion, while providing professional challenges and intellectual satisfaction that justified the lifestyle changes required for effective company leadership. The foundation had been established for implementation activities that would generate substantial business growth while maintaining the family integration and personal fulfillment that characterized the new life structure that had emerged from the crisis of Thomas's abandonment. The third morning after our return from Denver marked the beginning of intensive client outreach activities designed to accelerate implementation of Meridian Aviation's Western expansion strategy. Emma awakened with her characteristic enthusiasm for new experiences, her questions about the day's scheduled activities demonstrating continued adaptation to the dynamic lifestyle that accompanied my return to active business leadership. The integration of family responsibilities with comprehensive business development required careful coordination that honored both professional effectiveness and parental commitment. Marcus Rodriguez arrived at our Lincoln Park residence with detailed briefing materials that documented overnight developments in several strategic initiatives. Dr. Patricia Reeves had confirmed her commitment to the Comprehensive Aviation Services Agreement and requested expedited implementation to support her medical device company's accelerated clinical trial schedule. Rocky Mountain Corporate Aviation had provided preliminary partnership terms that exceeded our initial expectations while offering expanded operational capabilities throughout the Western region. The morning briefing session revealed additional client inquiries that had been generated through referral networks and industry connections developed during our Denver business development activities. These potential relationships included a prominent entertainment industry executive who required discrete transportation between Los Angeles and Colorado filming locations, a technology venture capital firm seeking reliable access to Silicon Valley and Seattle markets, and a multinational energy corporation requiring specialized transport capabilities for executive teams visiting remote exploration sites. Emma observed the strategic planning discussions with genuine interest while maintaining appropriate behavior during adult business conversations. Her questions about aviation terminology and client service procedures provided educational opportunities that reinforced her understanding of professional operations, while demonstrating cognitive development that would benefit from continued exposure to complex business environments. The client development strategy required systematic coordination of multiple relationship-building activities, while maintaining existing service commitments and operational excellence standards. The challenge involved scaling business development efforts without compromising the personalized attention and service quality that had distinguished Meridian throughout its growth trajectory. The solution demanded sophisticated resource allocation and priority management that leveraged organizational capabilities while expanding market presence. Marcus presented comprehensive competitive analysis that demonstrated Meridian's advantageous positioning relative to other premium aviation service providers operating in Western markets. Our superior safety record, operational flexibility, and client satisfaction metrics provided differentiation advantages that could accelerate market penetration while commanding premium pricing that enhanced profitability margins. The competitive intelligence indicated substantial opportunity for rapid growth among clientele who valued excellence over cost considerations. The operational planning session extended through the morning hours as we developed detailed service delivery protocols and client relationship management procedures that would ensure seamless experience quality during the expansion phase. These procedures incorporated lessons learned from previous growth periods while addressing unique requirements that characterized Western market operations and diverse client expectations. Emma participated in educational activities that had been arranged to accommodate her schedule while allowing continued business development focus. The tutoring services and enrichment programs that Meridian's resources enabled provided learning opportunities that exceeded conventional educational offerings, while maintaining social development and age-appropriate recreational activities. The integration of enhanced educational resources with business travel and professional environments offered comprehensive development possibilities that honored both intellectual growth and family relationship priorities. The afternoon session involved detailed financial analysis of the expansion initiative's resource requirements and revenue projections under various implementation scenarios. The analysis confirmed that aggressive expansion strategies could generate substantial returns while maintaining conservative risk management principles that protected organizational stability during growth transitions. The financial modeling provided confidence for pursuing ambitious market development activities while ensuring adequate capital reserves for operational contingencies. Client presentation materials required comprehensive development that showcased Meridian's capabilities while addressing specific requirements and priorities that characterized each prospective relationship. The customization and personalization necessary for effective business development demanded significant preparation time and analytical effort that leveraged industry expertise while demonstrating thorough understanding of individual client needs and expectations. Emma explored the residence's extensive library resources while Marcus and I continued strategic planning activities, her fascination with educational materials and learning resources providing reassurance that intellectual development would continue to receive appropriate attention despite intensive business activities. The balance between professional demands and family commitments required ongoing optimization that honored multiple priorities while maintaining excellence in both areas. The late afternoon hours were devoted to coordination activities with Meridian's operational departments to ensure adequate preparation for expanded service delivery capabilities. The crew scheduling, aircraft positioning, and maintenance coordination required for Western operations demanded systematic planning and resource allocation that maintained existing service quality while accommodating increased operational complexity. Captain Sarah Mitchell participated in operational planning discussions that addressed crew training requirements, certification procedures, and safety protocol implementation necessary for multi-location operations. Her expertise and judgment provided essential input for developing procedures that maintained Meridian's superior safety record while expanding service territory and operational scope. The comprehensive approach to safety management reflected organizational values that prioritized risk mitigation over financial considerations. Emma joined us for dinner in the residence's formal dining room, her presence providing perspective and warmth that balanced the intensive focus on business development activities. Her questions about travel destinations and client service procedures demonstrated engagement with family activities, while reinforcing educational opportunities that arose naturally from professional discussions and strategic planning sessions. The evening hours provided opportunities for continued preparation of client presentation materials and coordination activities that would support successful business development outcomes during the coming week. The comprehensive documentation and analytical frameworks required careful refinement and organization to ensure effective communication of Meridian's value proposition while addressing specific client requirements and expectations. Marcus had arranged follow-up communications with potential clients to confirm meeting availability and coordinate presentation logistics that would maximize successful outcome probabilities. The systematic approach to relationship development reflected professional standards and attention to detail that had been instrumental in building Meridian's reputation among discerning clientele who expected excellence in all aspects of service delivery. Emma's bedtime routine provided opportunities for reflection on the comprehensive business development activities that had been accomplished while maintaining focus on family relationship quality and emotional support during a period of significant lifestyle transition. Her continued adaptation to changing circumstances while maintaining positive attitude and intellectual curiosity demonstrated resilience and maturity that would serve her well throughout future growth and development experiences. The strategic planning materials developed during the day represented substantial progress toward implementing comprehensive client development initiatives that could accelerate Western expansion while establishing Meridian as the preferred aviation service provider throughout the region. The systematic approach to market penetration and client relationship development reflected organizational capabilities that had been developed during previous growth periods while incorporating enhanced analytical frameworks and strategic thinking processes. The residential work environment had proved effective for intensive strategic planning activities while maintaining family integration and parental responsibility fulfillment. The balance between professional demands and domestic commitments continued to require careful attention and ongoing optimization, though the preliminary results indicated successful integration possibilities that honored multiple priorities and stakeholder interests. The client inquiries generated through referral networks and industry connections provided validation that Meridian's reputation and service quality had created market awareness that could facilitate rapid expansion activities. The quality and scope of potential client relationships indicated substantial revenue opportunities that justified aggressive business development investments while maintaining conservative financial management principles. The competitive analysis had confirmed Meridian's advantageous market positioning while identifying specific differentiation factors that could accelerate client acquisition and relationship development activities. The superior safety record, operational flexibility, and service quality metrics provided foundation elements for value proposition development that could command premium pricing while ensuring client satisfaction and loyalty. The operational planning activities had addressed logistical complexities and resource requirements necessary for successful expansion implementation while maintaining existing service commitments and performance standards. The systematic approach to capability development and market entry reflected organizational maturity and project management expertise that had been accumulated during previous growth experiences. The financial analysis had provided confidence that expansion initiatives could generate substantial returns while maintaining risk management principles that protected organizational stability and stakeholder interests. The comprehensive modeling and scenario analysis indicated favorable outcomes under various implementation approaches while identifying potential challenges and mitigation strategies. The client presentation development activities represented significant preparation investments that would enhance successful relationship development probabilities while demonstrating thorough understanding of individual client needs and expectations. The customization and personalization required for effective business development reflected commitment to service excellence that distinguished Meridian from competitors who employed standardized approaches. Emma's continued positive adaptation to lifestyle changes while maintaining educational development and family relationship quality provided evidence that business leadership resumption would enhance rather than compromise family welfare and childhood development experiences. Her intellectual curiosity and social confidence suggested benefits from exposure to professional environments and strategic thinking processes. The comprehensive strategic planning and client development activities accomplished during the day had established foundation elements for intensive business development efforts that would commence during the following week. The systematic preparation and analytical thoroughness demonstrated organizational capabilities that could support ambitious expansion objectives while maintaining operational excellence and client satisfaction standards. The integration of family responsibilities with intensive business leadership continued to require careful balance and ongoing attention to multiple priorities and stakeholder interests. The preliminary results indicated successful approach possibilities that honored both professional effectiveness and parental commitment, while providing enhanced opportunities for comprehensive life satisfaction and achievement. Marcus had prepared detailed coordination schedules for the client meetings and partnership negotiations that would advance implementation activities during the coming week. The systematic approach to relationship development and business expansion reflected professional standards and organizational capabilities that had been instrumental in Meridian's previous growth achievements, while incorporating enhanced strategic frameworks and analytical processes. The evening's strategic planning activities had confirmed substantial market opportunities and organizational capabilities necessary for successful Western expansion, while providing intellectual challenges and professional satisfaction that validated the lifestyle changes required for effective company leadership. The foundation had been established for business development activities that would generate significant growth while maintaining family integration and personal fulfillment that characterized the new life structure emerging from Thomas's abandonment crisis. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.